Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating piece of research to uncover exactly why traditional smarts, book smarts, just don't guarantee achievement. Along the way, we're going to figure out the real secret to long-term success. So, if you've ever wondered why the absolute smartest person in the room isn't always the most successful one, well, you're definitely in the right place. Let's start this investigation with a real-world puzzle. Picture a highly demanding setting. A 7th grade math classroom in the New York City public school system. The teacher here, who actually used to work in high-pressure management consulting, started handing out quizzes, tests, homework, the whole shebang. And as she calculated the grades, a massive question popped up. Does doing well, not just in school but in life, depend on way more than just your ability to learn things quickly? What she noticed was a total paradox. Some of her sharpest kids, the ones with these stratospheric IQ scores, actually weren't doing all that well. But then, on the flip side, some of the absolute best performers were students with just average IQs. Now, to be fair, they were learning tough stuff, right? Ratios, decimals, calculating the area of a parallelogram, but it wasn't impossible. She became firmly convinced that literally every single student could master this material if they just put in sustained effort over time. Basically, IQ alone was totally failing to predict who was actually going to succeed. Which brings us to Section 1, the investigation. Let's look beyond IQ. To figure out what was really going on here, this teacher actually left the classroom, became a psychologist, and cast a super wide net. Her team looked at who succeeds and why across some wildly challenging environments. They went to West Point Military Academy to see which cadets would survive the grueling training. They watched the National Spelling Bee to see which kids went the furthest. They even studied rookie teachers in extremely tough neighborhoods and partnered with private companies to see which salespeople would crush their quotas. But here is what's really wild. It's what they ruled out. They asked, was it social intelligence? Nope. Good looks or physical health? No way. And, most importantly for us, it wasn't IQ. Across all of these totally different, high-stress environments, a person's intelligence quotient completely failed to predict their success. All right, Section 2, the reveal. Let's talk about the ultimate predictor. So if it wasn't about being smart, or healthy, or socially smooth, what was it? Well, across every single one of these drastic, high-stakes situations, success boiled down to one thing: grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. It's about having stamina, sticking with your future day in, day out, not just for a week or a month, but literally for years. It's working incredibly hard to make that future a reality. I love this quote because it hits the nail on the head. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. And honestly, this is exactly why IQ fails at predicting success. IQ just measures your sprint speed. How fast can you process this new piece of information right now? But life, building a career, military training, those are marathons. They require the kind of deep endurance that only grit provides. To put that into perspective, just look at how this played out in the Chicago public school system. Researchers gave thousands of high school juniors a grit questionnaire and then waited over a year to see who actually graduated. The results? Absolutely astounding. The grittier kids were significantly more likely to graduate. And here's the kicker. This held true even when they matched kids on family income, how safe they felt at school, and standardized test scores. Grit was the deciding factor, especially for kids at a high risk of dropping out. Moving on to Section 3, the talent trap. Now get ready for the biggest plot twist of this whole investigation. We all naturally assume that talented people have an easier time sticking with things, right? But the data shows clearly that natural talent absolutely does not make you gritty. There are so many highly talented people who just fail to follow through. They totally have the capability, but they lack the stamina to finish the marathon. Actually, scratch that, it's even crazier. The data shows grit is usually completely unrelated to talent, or remarkably, it's inversely related. Think about it. The people to whom things come easiest, those with the super high IQs, often never really learn how to struggle. Because they breezed through early on, they never built up that crucial perseverance muscle. So when things finally do get hard, they're often the least likely to have the stamina to push through. Okay, Section 4, building the solution. Since we know talent and IQ aren't the magic tickets, parents and teachers are obviously desperate to know, how do we actually build grit in kids? How do we keep them motivated? Well, the completely honest and kind of surprising answer from scientists is we don't really know. we know very little about how to manufacture grit. Even the researchers were shocked by this. But don't worry, we aren't totally in the dark. There is one really promising lead. The absolute best concept we have right now is called the growth mindset. It was developed by Dr. Carol Dweck over at Stanford, and it's basically the belief that your ability to learn isn't just fixed at birth. Instead, it can actually change and grow based on your effort. Here's how that works in the real world. When kids learn that their brain physically changes and grows in response to a challenge, it's a real game changer. They stop seeing failure as this permanent condition. They realize, hey, I can get better at this. So they become way more likely to persevere when they mess up. A growth mindset is a phenomenal starting point for building grit, but the researchers are quick to point out we still need more. We've got to keep testing our best ideas, failing, and trying again. So, to wrap up this explainer, I think it's crystal clear why IQ totally fails at predicting success. It just can't measure the passion and the perseverance you need for the long haul. As we keep testing our intuitions and trying to unlock human potential, I want to leave you with one final crucial question to chew on today. Are we willing to be gritty about getting our kids and, honestly, getting ourselves grittier? Thanks so much for joining me to explore this today. Keep embracing those challenges.